brothers that the sons had been chosen in order that they might fight around the city walls. Okay. So, Corey, could you walk us through that?
Yeah, so they told the father, that's in the past,
Mm-hmm.
that the sons had been chosen. That's
Mm-hmm.
in the past. Um,
What do you mean by that? Well, could you
well,
could you render it as a direct statement? What did they say to the father?
that the
They,
sons had been chosen.
well,
Um,
make it a direct quote. They said, "Hello, father. Your sons
your sons have
have
been
have
chosen.
been chosen."
Okay.
Right. Right. So have been is what tense?
Have been is pluperfect.
Had
Oh,
been would be
I'm
perfect.
sorry.
Have
Yeah,
been.
have been.
It's just
They have been. Uh, Help me out here.
perfect. Just the perfect.
It is perfect. Okay, that
Yeah.
was my guess. Okay.
So it was it a statement at that time about the present, the past, or the future?
Well, perfect would be present.
No. They
Well,
have been. They already
they
been.
have been.
Right?
Oh, okay, sure. So that's past.
Right? It's about the past, right? They signed up for the draft, or I don't know, and they have been chosen already. It's done. And
Oh,
so, okay,
so
continue.
there'd be a present infinitive.
Well, did it happen before the telling, or at the same time as the telling, or after the telling?
Well, I guess it happened even before.
Yeah, exactly. So then,
Be a perfect infinitive.
yeah, we need a
Okay.
perfect passive infinitive. All right. Nathan, can you walk us through number 5?
Yeah.
So figure out what would the direct statement have been.
The direct statement would have been, a war cannot be waged forcefully on the sea by the soldiers without great danger.
That's number 6, but you can do that.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Did you say 5?
Yeah, but it's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So do 6? Okay. So
Yeah.
a war cannot be waged forcefully on the sea by the soldiers without a great danger. So you had the we know. So I'd say put.
Yeah. Well, don't just think about the verb of the indirect statement. So is this the direct statement? The war cannot be waged forcefully on the sea by the soldiers without great danger about the present, the past, or the future.
Present.
The present, right.
Yeah,
so
present.
Then what tense of the infinitive do we need?
So what tense of the infinitive do we need? We would need the present passive.
Present active. A war is not able. It is not able. Not it is not able.
Okay.
It is not able, and then that a supplementary infinitive to be waged.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then.
Good.
Yeah.
And then Rachel, can you do number 5?
Okay. So if it's a direct statement, it's just poets should write books not only about Jupiter and Juno, but also about the sea and about the animals of the mountains. And then poets should write books. They haven't written the books.
Yes, but let's, instead of should, which is a confusing word, let's use ought. Maybe poets ought to write books.
So that would be a future passive.
Well, is the obligation, when is the obligation? Well, yes, you could use a future passive, but let's use debeo deber, because that will make things easier.
Okay, so they ought to. So they are oughting to at the moment.
Yes, they are oughting to right now. They have
okay, got it.
right now. Yes. The
Okay.
obligation is now. Now they haven't
Yeah.
written yet, but we don't need to worry about
So,
that.
okay, but the obligation is the verb.
Right.
So then it's present. So then it would be a
It's a
present,
present.
active participle.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so we shall say that poets should write books. Poetas debere scribere libros, something like that. Now, if it is, we do say that poets should write books, blah, blah, blah. What tense of the infinitive do you need? I'm not trying to trick you. But I'm trying to clarify. This is for anyone. If we
Wouldn't it-
change that future to a present, yeah,
Wouldn't it be the same?
it would be the same.
Okay.
And how about if we said that poets should write books?
It would still be the same.
It would still be the same. Does everyone get that?
Yeah.
The tense of the infinitive is totally relative. So there's none of this like sequence of tenses sort of thing for the infinitives. It doesn't matter what tense the infinitive is. We just need to figure out the right relationship. So if it's present to the main statement, regardless of what time that statement happened, we needed a present infinitive. Okay. So let's do some of exercise 6 drill unit exercise. Exercise 1. Words. And what did I have you do? What?
1 through 7, and then I think 24 through 32.
Okay. Nathan, will you start us off?
Yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it in my notes. Okay. People falling into the road were yelling to the brothers, or were yelling. I don't know. I must have miswrote this. I wrote this. We're yelling at the brothers. We're fighting. I don't know. I must have just.
Okay. You're good so far. So the people either falling into the road or maybe rushing makes more sense.
Oh, okay.
More logical. So the people, the population, rushing into the road was shouting, and then we have fratres, which is the accusative case, and pugnare, which is an infinitive. So what kind of construction do you have?
So they were fighting. Sorry, ambulance.
It's okay. So what kind of construction is it if we have an accusative and then an infinitive?
It's an indirect statement then.
It's an indirect statement,
Yeah.
right? So you start off with that, and then you make the accusative the subject, and the infinitive the main verb.
Accusative, the subject. I'm sorry, it's just I didn't look at this in a while.
It's okay. So the people rushing into the road were shouting, right? That.
Shouting that brothers. Okay, yeah. Shouting that brothers were fighting with brothers in the war.
In the war, exactly.
Okay.
So why did you translated it right? We're
Right.
fighting. And why is that right?
Because pugnare is in the infinitive.
But why did you
And-
translate it that tense?
Because it is the same as we're falling.
We're shouting.
We're shouting.
We're
Yeah,
shouting
we're
is the
shouting.
main verb. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's contemporary. That's how you indicate in English that the fight,
Yeah, because
the
yeah, it's
statement
the
was contemporaneous with the shouting.
right because that's
They
the
were
same.
shouting.
Yeah, because that's the active
Mhm.
present.
Present active. Infinitive. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what
Okay.
did they say? Quote, they were rushing into the road and they said, quote, brothers what?
We're fighting with brothers.
Brothers are fighting.
Are fighting. So that's what that's what they were saying.
Mm-hmm. They were saying, quote,
They were
brothers
saying that.
are fighting. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I struggled with this a little bit conceptually, but I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Rachel, will you take number 2?
Okay, so poeta dicit mentem sanam in corpore sano optandum esse.
Mm-hmm.
So your infinitive is the perfect passive infinitive, and
No,
because no,
look, it's not optatum, but optandum. So this is a paraphrastic.
okay. So then if it's a paraphrastic, it's dum. Okay, so then the poet is telling, and that's the main verb.
Mm-hmm. The poet says, yeah.
The poet says, and then that's your to want,
Mm-hmm.
and then sane. So sane. So I originally translated, so the poet says that a sane mind has to have been desired in a sane or healthy body.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a healthy mind is optandum, is to be desired, should be desired.
Okay.
Yeah, in a healthy body. So we want to say personas, we want to say healthy, even though we say sanity to mean mental health, right?
Okay.
But sanity should be able to mean like I'm insane, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
That should make sense. Etymologically, of course, it doesn't. So, have you ever heard this? Mens sana in corpore sano. A healthy mind, a strong mind, and a strong body is, I think, how we generally translate it. You run into it. Mens sana in corpore sano. It's Juvenal, in case you want to know who the poet is.
Okay.
He's a satirist, and he really doesn't like a lot of people. Women, Romans, everybody.
Romans.
Corey, will you take number 3?
Yeah, and just as a disclaimer, I can't find my answers, so I'm gonna have to go off the cuff here.
Good.
Okay, so I have the rumor is the soldiers from the city. No, okay.
Why don't we start by finding the accusative subject and the infinitive verb?
So the accusative subject would be the soldiers.
They're in the ablative case. So no.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, so well, I guess it would be the city.
Yeah, would have been. That's accusative.
Okay. So the rumor is the city. And then these would be infinitives.
Which would be?
I'm sorry, the two verbs here.
Well,
apugnatam and deletam.
Only one of those is an infinitive. They're actually both participles, but one of them has a verb to be with it, and so it's a compounded infinitive, and one is just a simple participle.
Okay, well then, so deletam esse is the infinitive.
Correct.
So that's a periphrastic. Is that
It's not. It's a compound, not a periphrastic,
okay?
because just it's like those compound tenses: the perfect, pluperfect, future perfect, indicative, perfect, and pluperfect.
Okay,
Oh.
Perfect infinitive is the perfect passive participle with a form of verb to be, which in this case, as makes sense, is the infinitive.
okay. All right. So then the participle is to be attacking.
It's the
And-
perfect passive participle, so
okay,
having
so-
been attacked.
So
But
the
let's
city.
just
The rumor is the city having been attacked.
Amuletibus.
Hmm?
Amuletibus. Having
Okay,
been
so that would
attacked
be by the militants or the
by the soldiers. Yeah. So the
then-
city having been attacked by the soldiers, we deletam esse.
Is destroyed with force.
Yeah. Now, is destroyed?
Was
Was destroyed, right? Well, first of all, that makes sense, but why? I mean, it sounds better, so you know that. But deletam esse is what tense?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's the perfect infinitive, and so the perfect infinitive means that the statement happened before the time of the main verb. So the rumor is that the city in the past
Was
was
destroyed.
destroyed. The rumor is, quote, the city has been destroyed by force, having been attacked by the soldiers.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually the sentence that they wanted you to copy, basically, for exercise 2, number 1. Right? We understood that the city, after it had been attacked, which is opugnata, after it had been attacked. Having been attacked means it was attacked before the infinitive, which is after it had been attacked, was being destroyed. So that would be delayed instead of deletam esse. But the rumor is that the city, after it had been attacked, after it was attacked, was destroyed by force.
I'm a little
Yeah.
confused on the grammar on that one.
Yes.
You said that deletam esse was, so it wasn't a periphrastic, it was one of the compound tenses, which okay, which one is it?
It's the perfect passive infinitive.
Okay. The perfect
So, go ahead.
the perfect passive infinitive though. So I was thinking back to like the compound tenses, like the perfect active, subjunctive, and future perfect, and all the perfect. Those are compound tenses.
And so this follows
and
that
so-
same pattern.
Okay, the perfect is the compound.
Just like the
Okay.
perfect passive indicative uses the perfect passive participle plus the present.
Okay, so it is an
Indicative.
infinitive.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, so
I thought
the-
it like wasn't an infinitive, and I was super confused.
No,
Okay,
it's a
cool.
compound. Yeah.
Okay.
And just like the passive indicative, the perfect passive indicative uses the present indicative of the verb to be. So the perfect passive infinitive uses the present infinitive of the verb to be.
Okay, and then the future active infinitive. Is that considered a compound tense too? Because it's just a different stem, but then it still has esse. But both of those just have esse, not like a form of sum.
Well, esse is a form of sum. It's the infinitive form of sum. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's good to work those things out loud, even if you feel like at the end, oh, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
it has to make sense to you. It doesn't just have to abstractly make sense. I can tell you Latin makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't matter until you understand it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So did you get the after it had been attacked? I mean, that's tricky. But after it had been attacked means the attacking happened and then the destruction happened, right? The rumor is that the city, after it was attacked by the soldiers, was destroyed by force. And so that simple, perfect passive participle easily translates into after it has been attacked or after it was attacked.
Yeah. So I mean, that would be, so if you took like just like urban and then take the participle, like that would be like that having been attacked city, but then that turns into the city after it had been attacked.
Yeah. So after it had been
like a
attacked,
clause.
something else happened. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. This little word that's really funky. Do you know when we use that in English? I hear people say he spoke with lots of vim and vigor. Right?
Okay.
That's vim, right? Force, and then vigor, strength. Right? But
Oh yeah. Okay.
it's the accusative singular of this little Latin word. Okay.
Like vie for power.
Wait,
probably yes. I don't
Like
know
they
if
vie
that's
for power. I mean, I don't know.
cognate. Yeah, it may be a cognate or it may be a direct.
Wait, so that's the accusative singular of power?
Yeah,
Of like
vim,
of Weiss? Win?
vim and vigor. Which people sometimes say vim and vinegar because I don't think, wow, I don't know. They don't know what they mean, right? So I haven't studied enough Latin, right? That would be the solution. Vim and vigor, right? Something like that.
Because that.
Yeah.
Sorry, just like the lexical entry is Weiss.
Yeah, if you look on page 102, it's an irregular one that has some archaic forms.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It should be VRM or something.
Okay.
But it's not, so whatever. We'll move on. Making me take number 4.
Yeah. Pater materque audio verunt filios ante moena Romani igne et vero pugna visi. So, the father and mother heard the sons.
And don't forget to add that.
Of course, or that the sons fought in front of the city walls with Roman fire and iron.
Well, the city walls, Romae, the city walls of Rome, probably. The walls of Rome.
Oh yeah, because that's okay. Because that's okay. So in front of the walls of Rome with fire and iron.
Yes, fire and sword by extension. It's not like they were fighting with, iron.
The raw element.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was like I thought it was like a phrase, like fire.
Yeah, well, it is a little bit, but we say fire and sword. We don't mean one little fire and one little sword. We mean fires and swords.
Okay.
Latin says fire and iron.
Okay.
I was really hoping, actually, well, I think a number of you copied this sentence modeled your sentence after this, but I was hoping someone would say flama et ferro to have that alliteration, but Sadly, no. But if you do alliteration, you always win points. So just
Okay.
glory points, not actual points. But.
Darn.
So there was that right? I don't know.
Yeah, your translation of the infinitive was a bit, well, it was right, but it wasn't super accurate. So just to be clear, when did that happen?
It happened in the past, and it's
Yeah, in the
contemporaneous
past
because
well, is it contemporaneous?
they heard
Mm-hmm.
past, and the
Yeah.
sons fought in the past.
Yeah, but it's not a present participle. It's a perfect participle. And the perfect participle means what?
That. Oh, so it was happening. So it was happening. It all happened in the past, but they heard before their sons fought in front of the wall. So it's like,
Well, they heard that their son, what did they hear? Quote, the messenger came and said, "Hello, sir and madam. Your sons," what?
had already fought. So it happened.
Well, not had. He said, your sons have fought, or your
Have
sons fought.
Yeah.
Right? So it was a statement about the past.
So it's like
You know,
it's like the example. It's like yesterday and then the day before yesterday.
Mm-hmm. So the father and mother heard that their sons had fought, would be the, strictly speaking, correct translation into English.
Okay. The sons had fought because that was.
They heard that their sons had fought means it happened before their hearing.
Okay. And then you would figure that out because that's Pugna VC is in. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because punya we say is a perfect, and perfect doesn't mean absolutely perfect. It means prior to the main verb,
Okay.
just relative to it.
Oh, okay. I see. Because it was happened. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they weren't hearing the same time it was happening. They heard
Mm-hmm.
after it happened.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay.
Rachel, will you take number 5?
Okay. Populus Anticus? How would you pronounce that with the T?
Anticus.
Dicebat Iovem esse patrem deorum atque hominum regem et terram esse matrem hominus animalium que. Yeah.
Que.
Animalium que.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much Spanish. It's really hard.
So this is my rough translation before I did a bunch of practice with you. So the ancient people were saying of Juno that she is the parent ruler of gods and men, and humans are mother of the animals, which doesn't work because animals has kue, which is and.
Yeah, hominum animalium que are both genitive plurals. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's start again. First of all, Yolem is Jove, Jupiter, not his wife, Juno.
Okay.
Jove, Jupiter. So by
Okay.
Jove, right? Sometimes you
Yes.
people saying that they're swearing by Jupiter.
Okay.
Okay.
So
the ancient people, the people of old, the ancient people was saying that.
Mhm.
What?
So we have to look. So this is an indirect. We have to look for a infinitive.
Mm-hmm.
So terram esse.
Yeah. Teram esse matrem, that's one indirect statement, and then Joem esse patrem is another.
Okay, because there's the et.
Yeah, so we have patrem and matrem, so you see there's a, right, we're going to talk about a pair.
Okay.
Right? The pater
Okay.
and the mater.
So is the infinitive then just esse? And
Yeah,
that would be the present.
present active infinitive of the verb to be. Exactly.
Okay, so the people of old, or the ancient people, were saying
Mhm.
that Jupiter
Mhm.
is the father.
Patrem deorum.
So the father god
Well,
Or
deorum.
is the genitive, so of. So he is father of the gods
Atque hominum regem.
and father of the gods and human rulers. Human.
Well, so regem is what? Rex regis?
King.
Yeah, so he is father of gods and king, and then hominum. What is that word coming?
Human, and then hominum is so homo,
Homo. Yeah.
and
Homo.
then
Hominis. So
hominis
hominum.
is the no.
That would be hominidus.
Oh, that's the genitive plural again in the
Genitive
third.
plural again, exactly.
Okay, so father or Jupiter is father of the gods and king of humans.
Exactly.
Okay, so
they used to say, right now you said is. To give us good English, we have to say was. They were saying that Jupiter was.
Okay.
It was in. If it were direct statement, it would be Jupiter is, but if indirect, the ancient people were saying that Jupiter was the father of gods and the king of men, and that terram esse matrem hominum animaliumque.
So again, the infinitive is esse,
Mhm.
and then teram and matrem agree. So just the earth is
The earth
was mother of humans and animals.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Homo sapiens, right? That will help you remember this. Not hominus. It's Homo. Homo hominus. Now, patrem deorum atque hominum regem probably seems wrong to you. It seems like, why are they messing it up? Right? It should be patrem deorum atque regem hominum. That makes sense to us. And maybe that would be a little bit easier in Latin, but it's much more beautiful this way. I don't know if you can see, but you have, right, a little chiastic structure. ABBA, meaning accusative, genitive, genitive, accusative, which makes that all group together very nicely. You might see this in English poetry, the father of gods and of men, king, but it's harder in English, whereas in Latin, it's not difficult and it's super lovely. And we want beautiful prose, not just beautiful poetry in Latin most of the time, unless we're Tacitus. And then we want it to be dreadful and awful and difficult for native speakers. So you have to think really hard. It's actually true. He tried to make the most complicated Latin he could. So you have to think about what he's talking about. But if it's hard for native speaker, it's really, really bad for us. Okay. And after that plug for Tacitus, what are your take?
6.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, it has been said that Juno is the sister of Jupiter.
Yeah. Maybe Juno was said
Okay.
to be
Oh, sure. Okay.
the sister of Juno. Good. So since the subject of the essay is also the subject of the main verb dikebatur, we have actually a nominative accusative construction, which is modeled after Greek. I'm not going to delve into that too much. Nathan, you take number 7?
Yeah. We see that a new dawn has spread light across the sea, earth, and heavens. Or heaven.
Yeah. Well, not has, though, because we have a present infinitive. We see that the new dawn
Is spreading.
is spreading. Is
Spreading. Spreads. New dawn spreads.
Yeah. Is sprinkling the sea, the
Or
earth, and the
sprinkling.
sky with light. Yeah, it's a very
Okay.
poetic image. In Homer, and I think Virgil too, dawn is always
Rosy fingered dawn.
rosy fingered dawn. Yes, exactly. Yes. Okay. Questions about any of the other sentences? Okay. If we have time, we can come back and look at those again. But I'd like to move to exercise 3 and read your first real Latin. This is liberally adapted, it says. But they didn't adapt it as in just rewrite it, write a new version of it. They just took out huge chunks and moved it around a little so you could follow it. But this is Cicero. And I'm going to try to read it in Latin with a little bit of drama. This is the Against Catiline one. Catiline was a Roman senator who decided because he was rich and aristocratic that he deserved political office. And when he didn't get it, although he ran on a platform of forgiving all debts, which was super popular with the lower class people, but with the upper class people who probably had a lot of debts to call in, it was not super popular. So he didn't win, and then he decided since he didn't win, he should just take over by force. Now, how much that is true, we don't really know, because we mostly have Cicero's side, and Cicero tells us he's an awful person. He was committing all sorts of horrible sexual crimes right and left. He was drinking blood, which clearly he wasn't. But Cicero doesn't spare anything. So this is the speech, part of the speech he gave in the Senate. Okay. Opto patres conscripti me esse pim, opto in tantis urbi periculis me non sine cura videri, sed nuc me inertiae nequitiaeque damno. Castra sunt in Italia contra populum Romanum in Etruria in montibus convocata. Crescit semper inimicorum numerus, castrorum autem imperatorem ducemque inimicorum intra moenia atqua Deo in patrum conscriptorum numero videtis, et intellegere debetis illos de periculo et in maniis malus urbe nostra cogitare. So, very impassioned. It's not what it says. Let's see. Rachel, you take the first 6 words.
Okay. There are so many commas.
So patres conscripti are the enrolled fathers.
Okay.
You see your note. The enrolled fathers is another word for senators, right? They're fathers of the country in some sense.
Okay.
He's talking to them. This is
To the senators.
a
Okay.
script of his actual speech that he gave.
So it's an indirect statement,
Mhm.
and it starts with "I desire."
Yes, or I hope, I wish, I hope.
Okay. I desire
Mhm.
the senators. But then
senators.
essay is the present infinitive.
Mhm.
Um, Pium, I feel like I could be like pious, like loyal.
Yeah. It's one of the trickiest words in Latin to
Or is
translate
that
into English.
Okay, so it is like the pious one. I wasn't sure if I had the wrong word there.
Pious
Okay.
from that, but pious to us sounds like
Doesn't fit here.
someone who goes to church a lot. Pious
Yeah.
in Latin, pius means you fulfill your obligations to the state, the gods, and your family.
Okay.
So,
So senators are
Mhm.
loyal to me. So I would hope that the senators are loyal.
well, patris conscripti, what case? Is that
Uh,
accusative?
Pat-
Conscripti. Conscripti would have to be conscriptos.
Oh, it does. Okay. So
So he's directly addressing the senators.
okay.
O senators, opto me esse pium.
Um,
And if pius is the adjective, it's a 2-on-2.
yeah.
It has to agree in number in case with a noun to which it refers. Patris conscripti would have to be plural. Pium is definitely not plural.
Oh, so it matches with the opto, or
Well,
agrees in accusative singular.
Opto, the subject would be ego, so that would be an I, would be singular, nominative. Me is accusative singular, masculine.
Okay.
That's the subject of essay, and then pium is the complement of essay.
PM is a so to me be loyal.
Yes, I hope me to be loyal, but if we translate into English indirect statement, I hope those senators that.
Okay.
So how do you do that?
That you said May was accusative.
Yeah. That so we take that accusative subject in Latin and make it a nominative subject in English. So that I hope, O senators, that
No, it was to me.
what's the nominative version of me in English? Me is the accusative version.
Okay, no, is it myself?
Me.
Me.
We do not say me am happy. We say
I.
yeah.
Okay. That I
Mhm.
am
Yes.
being loyal.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is very dramatic, and he's being he's not being entirely sincere. Right?
Okay.
Or he's not being, he's being overly dramatic, right? I hope, fathers, that I am loyal, right? Hope, I mean, I don't know, but I sure hope that I'm loyal.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I hope, which means I am sure, but you know, want to be a little humble in some sense. Corey, will you pick it up and go to the next comma?
Yeah, so I hope so much that I.
Well, so I hope we're going to have another indirect statement. So find the accusative subject and the infinitive verb.
Yeah, so that would be may.
May, yep, may is a subject, and
then the verb would be videre.
videre, good.
Videre. So that that would be that I hope that
That.
I
Mhm.
see.
Videre would be to see. In the passive,
Oh, that I am
either
seen.
I am seen, or it can actually, we can use the word seem. Seem
Oh, that's right.
means am seen.
Okay.
So I hope I
that
seem
I see.
non sine cura.
That'd be not without concern.
So I hope I seem to be not without anxiety, which is the same to say as I hope I seem concerned. Concerned is the same as not without concern.
Okay.
In tantis urbi periculis.
Mhm. So great. Now, is that the dangers of the city?
Yeah, in such
I,
great
okay. No, maybe I don't.
dangers of the city. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I hope I'm loyal, both senators. I hope I don't seem unconcerned. Right. I hope I seem not without concern, which is I hope I seem concerned in these great dangers for the city. Sed nunc, but now, me inertiae nequitiae quae damno. Nathan?
So, but now
Mhm.
I condemn my laziness and worthlessness.
Yeah, I condemn the direct object, which is me, and we don't condemn me. I don't condemn me in English. How do you say that?
Like I condemn my
No,
worthlessness.
make it a pronoun.
Myself.
I condemn you. I condemn myself. I condemn myself, and then we have two genitives of the charge.
So
You
then
condemn yourself.
for laziness and
Mhm.
worthlessness.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
But right now, senators, I have to condemn myself for laziness and worthlessness. Right?
Okay.
Which really, actually, if you know the context, he's saying I'm condemning you all because you all aren't giving me enough power to deal with this guy. And so I can't. But if you want to be Ciceronian and tricky, you say I condemn myself because I'm not doing it. I wonder why. Oh yeah, you should give me that power. Okay. Castra sunt in Italia contra populum Romanum in Etruria Montibus convocata. So, Rachel, do you see the subject and the verb?
So I see sunt,
Right.
but
So
that's part of the main verb.
well, it actually is the main verb. You can see it doesn't.
Is the main verb.
And so we know we have a plural subject.
Yes. So castra
Mhm.
is plural.
Is plural. Yeah.
Nominative plural. Okay.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Castra
camp-
sunt.
so the camps in Italy
Well, they sunt. They
are.
are, and then we have a complement actually. Convocata. Castra sunt convocata at the very end.
Okay. So convocata, locate. So the camps are located in Italy.
Yes, a camp. It's plural in Latin, but it means singular. If you talk about a bunch of people's tents, you call it a camp, but in Latin you call it camps because it's one group of lots of camps.
Yeah.
Lots of
So
a camp is located
in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Montibus.
Well, contra populum Romanum.
Contra populum Romanum. So against the people of Rome.
Yeah, the Roman people.
Sorry, Roman people? Or
yeah, Romanus, not Romae, the people of Rome, but Romanus is the adjective against the Roman people.
Agrees in gender number. So against Roman people in Etruria.
Now, careful. In takes what case? What cases can it take?
Etruria
Yeah, it can either take the accusative or ablative.
Yeah.
Etruriae, which is the first declension, is that either ablative or accusative?
No.
No, so it can't possibly be the object of in.
So, okay. So it's, oh. Okay, so accusative, so Romanum. But then that's plural. Could in, because that could be
What's
genitive.
plural?
Oh, but that would be Romanum is I thought that was genitive and plural.
Romanum?
I'm just thinking that.
A 2 and 2 adjective. It's not third declension. 2
Oh,
and 2
okay.
Romanum,
Okay,
so
never mind. So it's
don't worry about
accusative.
it. That's already the object of contra. Contra populum
Okay.
Romanum. Okay, we've dealt with that. So in Etruria, and then we only have one word left that we haven't dealt with. So
Montibus.
hopefully that will be this object of the preposition in.
Okay. And that that vocab word has run away from me.
Mountainous.
Okay. So,
in the Montibus,
mount,
in the mountains,
and then
Etruriae.
Oh, and then and the mountains of
Etruria.
Etruria. Okay.
Yes, exactly. So, although that seems like a weird construction to us, if you sandwich the genitive in between the preposition and its object, then it makes clear in Latin what of Etruria modifies.
Okay.
Okay. Also, Cicero is one of the, let's say, top 3 writers of Latin ever. Prose. So, if you want amazing, blow your socks off rhetoric, go to Cicero. The other two, I think, well, yeah, Caesar in his own way, and then probably Augustine, which is so good. Corey?
So just to clarify so a camp is located in Italy against the Roman people located in the mountains of Etruria.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's in Italy, which is shocking enough that there is a military camp in Italy, right? Military camps that are fighting the Roman people should at least be in like Carthage or something.
Sure.
It's in Italy and it's against the Roman people, right? They're enemies of the Roman people. Of course, they wouldn't see themselves that way, but that's how Cicero is framing them. And they're in the very mountains of Etruria. So it's like saying there's a hostile camp in Virginia about to attack DC, which there was in the Civil War. But, in the mountains of Etruria, it's like shocking. It's right here.
Okay.
Right, so then, crescit semper inimicorum numerus.
Yeah, so crescit, crescit, that would be it grew.
It grows.
It grows always.
So what grows always?
So then got the numerus. Numerus, which is the numbers. So the number grows always of the enemies. So the number of the enemies always grows.
Yeah, the number of our enemies is always growing. So people are going out and joining Catalan.
Okay.
Castrorum autem imperatorem ducemque inimicorum intra moenia atque ad eo in patrum conscriptorum numero videtis. Okay, Nathan,
Okay.
find the main verb, first of all.
Is it videtis?
Yes, and what does that mean?
He or she sees.
No, that would be videt. He or she sees. Videtis.
Oh, you see. You see.
Y'all see. Yeah,
You all
of
see.
course, you
Yeah,
don't
so
see
he's talking to
y'all.
all these because he's talking to all the senators. So
Yes,
like,
you all
yeah.
see, and you need to see a direct object, so we need an accusative.
So you see the camp.
Well, castrorum, if it's castra castrorum, it's in neuter second declension. Castrorum is not accusative. That would be genitive plural.
I thought. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so the orum is the ending. Castra
Orum,
is the
okay.
stem, and orum is the ending here.
So then, it'd be imperatorum and
Yes.
but it's also ducem.
Yeah.
Ducem, right? Because with the K,
Ducem.
so it's
Yes.
and. Yeah.
Yes, so
it's ducem.
imperatorum ducemque. Those are the two direct objects. Good.
Okay.
So whom do you see? You see.
You see the commander and the leader.
Okay, and now we have two genitives on either side, which, again, maybe you don't like so much, but is beautiful Latin. So, castrorum imperatorum ducemque inimicorum. So we have a genitive, so it's B-A-B, B-A-A-B. No, if you want to say it's genitive, accusative, genitive.
Okay.
But the castrorum goes with imperatorum, and the inimicorum goes with ducem.
So it's you see
Mhm.
the commander and the leader.
Well, the commander castrorum.
Oh, so the commander of the
Of-
camp
Yep, and the ducem inimicorum.
and the leader of the. I'm blanking on inimicorum.
Well, an amicus, my amicus, what is that?
Oh, so okay, so it's the
The
enemy
leader
the leader of
what did you say?
within the enemy.
Well, just of the enemies.
Of
Right?
the
The general
But,
of the enemies.
It says intra within. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, but that's intramoenia.
Oh, that's the
intra
next
and
one.
both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the leader
So-
of the enemy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you'd see this commander of the camp and general of our enemies, intramoenia.
Within the city walls.
Yes. So he's not out in the camp, right?
He's
This-
within.
Catiline, horrible Catiline, who's the general of our enemies, right? He's
In the
Traitor.
city walls.
You
Yeah.
can see him, in fact, inside the walls of Rome, and
Yeah.
Adeo, and even
Even,
in Patrum Conscriptorum Numero.
even within the numbers of the senators.
Yes, within
So
the
you can see it
number
within, yeah.
of the senators. Okay, and actually Catiline is sitting there in the Senate right now.
Okay.
I mean, he was when this speech was being given.
Right.
So
So he's like pointing to.
I can't imagine how he would have go. Yeah, it's pretty horrible. All right, so you can see the general of the enemy troops, right? He
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought of himself as a traitor, but Cicero clearly did. And in some ways, he was. And not as bad as Cicero makes him. Okay. And less bad than Caesar would become. Caesar did much worse than things. Much more traitors. Okay. Et intellegere debetis illos de periculo et manis malis urbi nostrae cogitare. Right. So, Rachel,
Okay, so
Main
the
verb. right?
Main verb.
Always
Ah,
anchor yourself there.
so the intellegere is an infinitive.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be the debetis,
Mm-hmm.
which is the main verb.
Yeah.
So you all
Mm-hmm. Or ought.
ought.
Yes.
You all ought
And then intellegere is the complementary infinitive.
you all ought to know.
Yeah, to understand.
Okay. You all ought to understand.
And if we have a verb of knowing, perceiving, thinking, understanding, we suspect probably we're going to have an indirect statement. And we check. And if you can
Cogitare.
find an cogitare and illos. Illos is our accusative subject, and cogitare is our infinitive. So,
Okay.
and you all ought to understand that.
Those.
Mhm,
So when it
those
says
men,
those and then men in parentheses, so that in general means those men, even without the word for men there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those men,
what are they doing?
the periculo, danger from.
Well, find the verb first and then add it.
Cogitare. So they
Yeah.
cognate or I always think like cognition and then to think.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are thinking.
They are thinking
Mhm.
that
Well, they are thinking de periculo.
de periculo, something danger.
Yeah, de about. They are
About
thinking.
okay.
They are thinking about
Danger.
magnis manus.
And mega evil.
Yeah, and immense evils.
Um,
I mean, Latin is a little bit more complicated. We would say immense destruction or
Okay.
something. I don't care, but Latin says big evils, right?
Okay.
Great evils.
Big evil.
Would be most today.
What would be is the no, dative
Mhm.
singular
Yep. Great evils.
to our city.
Exactly. Great.
Okay.
Okay. Wow, you did that pretty fast, all of you. Good job.
Yeah.
So, Ciceronian speech, the first, but definitely not your last. Okay. Well, maybe not definitely, but most likely because everybody in their third semester of Latin reads Cicero and Caesar.
Okay.
Not everyone, but 93% of the people who study.
Are we all ready to the third?
No. But this is liberally adapted, as you say.
Okay.
For Cicero to write a sentence, the length of that paragraph would be easy. He writes in beautiful, long, extensive, overlong sentences.
Okay.
But you're getting there. Okay, so let's take a break now, and come back at 11:19.
Okay. So that the quiz shows up now on the website.
Okay. Oh well.
Yeah. Hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Yes.
Felt like
Is the backlighting too annoying? Is that okay?
No, not at all. You
Okay.
got this Halo thing going on.
You can see it's a lamp back there, but I'll go with the Halo thing. Halos, if you have any interest, are derived from pagan imagery that can represent the sun god and then, by extension, the emperors. And interestingly enough, in Rome, in the ancient mosaics, circular halos mean you're a saint. Square halos mean you're still alive. So if you're like a pope who commissioned the mosaic and you want to like, oh, put me in with St. Peter and Paul, they have circle halos, and you get a square one.
Oh,
So,
cool.
Okay, wait. So the Halo originated with the sun god, and I know there was a lot of syncretism between the sun god and Christianity through Constantine. So is that how halos came into Christian iconography?
no, they came in because the emperors identified themselves as with the sun god.
Okay, and then
they, for several hundred years, started imagining themselves, using the imagery of the sun god.
Okay.
And then I think it was said, well, the emperor is the most exalted person, and if you want to represent Jesus as an exalted person, you represent him as an emperor.
Okay.
As a halo. And
Yeah.
so if Jesus is exalted, why not Peter, who's also great? And,
Yeah. Okay.
It goes on from there. Yeah, which is a rough sketch, but I do literature, so I'm not an art historian. Well, my Latin teacher said that this, so it must be lost. I think that's generally right. But,
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay. So, unless you have any questions about the last unit, Unit 6, I should have asked you before sharing the screen, but no?
Nope.
Do you think you understand that better now that we've tried to explain a little bit more?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think I'll go back and do some of the other exercises.
Yeah, me too. It's really helpful when you're like, I guess, give us like steps on how to attack it, because sometimes I'm just like randomly looking for the grammar we happen to just learn. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So Unit 7. So as you've noticed, we've been alternating between units that are heavy on theory and heavy on forms. Right? So this last one was much heavier on theory, right? The idea of indirect statement. And we had a few forms to learn, but the intermediates are not so hard. Whereas this unit, there's not a whole lot of conceptual things that you're going to have to master, but we do have a number of little words, these forms you're going to have to learn. Okay, so personal pronouns. So what is a pronoun? The definition of a pronoun.
So like he, I.
Yeah, so
Me.
those are examples. What's the definition?
it's in place of a noun.
Yeah, a word that stands in place of a noun. So
yeah,
noun for me is woman or Kathleen or teacher or something. I stands in place of any person. So in English, here are our first person and second person pronouns. Right? The first person, talking about me, it can be singular, I of me, to me, with me, or plural, we of us, to us with us. And then the second person, directly addressing someone, it can be singular or plural, right? Modern English, we just use you for both, but archaically we had thou, well, thou of thee to thee with thee. And now we can use y'all if we need to indicate, to specify the plural. So in Latin, we have these same forms, right? And just like in English, we go from I to me, and we to us, right? They're a little irregular. Well, not a little, right? There's no letters in common between we and us, or I and me. In Latin, they're similar, right? So ego means I, then mei is genitive singular, then mihi is dative singular, me is accusative singular, and me is ablative singular. The nos is nominative plural, nostri, genitive plural, nobis, dative plural, nos, accusative plural, and nobis, ablative plural. And then the second person, tu, tui, tibi, te, vos, vestris, / vestrum, vobis, vos, vobis. Do you have any questions about those forms, first of all? Do you understand what they mean? Yeah. Okay, does anyone notice any patterns that will help you memorize? All right, so clearly these do not belong to any of the declensions, right? These are not first or second or third. Pronouns don't follow the nice rules of adjectives and nouns. So they just sort of do their own special little thing. But do you see any patterns that could help you memorizing this?
I mean, you could see that like there's me and t or te.
Yeah, me, te,
te.
Yep, exactly. So the accusative and ablative singulars are identical to each other in the singular. Good.
I mean, the patterns in general are relatively similar. Like you have, yeah, just like the way you have ego, me, mihi, and then tui, tb.
Yeah, so
it's kind of like similar.
mei and tui both end in a long I.
And
Mihi and tibi both have two I's, and it's not mibi and tibi, which would be nicer, but mibi sounds dreadful, so
yeah.
that's why mihi and tibi right there. Isosyllabic with two I's. Anything else?
And then
You
first,
can connect to the third declension.
os. It's
Yeah.
like the same. It's like the same. It's like os, ostrum, or east,
Well,
os, east.
East, Ost, East is the second declension.
Yeah.
What's the pattern I might be thinking about from the third? Anyone else?
From the third. The bis with the ibus.
Yeah, so we had ibus, and dative and ablative were the same. Ibus, bis. It's not quite the same, but it's similar, and they're at least the same as each other. And then also in the third declension, the nominative and accusative are the same, right? Milites. Likewise, nos, vos. Nominative and accusative are the same as each other. Okay, so does that mean you don't have to sit down and memorize these? No, you do have to sit down and memorize these. But it can just help you if you can see patterns. Okay, nobis. Well, we know in all the plurals thus far, the dative and ablative have been the same in our nouns, but likewise in our pronouns and things like that. Okay. Questions? Now, what gender are these? For nouns, we have to talk about gender, number, and case. For pronouns, also, we have to talk about gender, number, and case. So we talked about number. singular or plural. Case, we see nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. What about gender?
I don't see it yet.
Yeah, it's not a label. And in fact, there are no different ones for different genders. So if I say ego, what case is, what gender number in case is ego? I, Captain Kirsch, am saying it.
Feminine nominative singular.
Feminine nominative singular. If Corey says ego, it's masculine nominative singular. Okay. Because of what noun that's standing for, a masculine noun and a feminine noun.
Okay.
But thank goodness, just like in English, there's no different I for whether you're a man or a woman. In Latin also, there's no difference in the pronouns. They don't show gender, although they will have to have a gender because they're either referring to a masculine or a feminine person, I think. Well, I suppose these are all people, unless we're really crazy and talking to inanimate objects. Well, I suppose we could talk to animals, whatever. They don't have to be people. Questions about that?
So gender will just always be contextual?
Yeah. There's yeah. You're never going to be able to tell without context what gender
Okay.
it is. Yeah, cool. Just as in English. I expect there are some languages where you use a different. No, I saw my first anime a few weeks ago, and it was. Don't need to get into it, but anyway, this girl ended up in a boy's body, and she used the wrong I. She used the I for a girl, a feminine I, not a masculine I, and she got some weird lips. So anyway, there are languages that have to do this. At least that is my deduction from watching anime. But thankfully not Latin or English. Okay. So then we have personal pronouns. We also have reflexive pronouns. And reflexive means a pronoun, reflexive means something that refers back to the subject of the sentence. So reflecto, flect is to bend. So reflectere, to bend back. Reflexive is a word that bends back to the subject. So reflexive pronouns refer to the subject of the main verb. For the first and second persons, the reflexive pronoun is identical in form to the personal pronoun. So you can use a personal pronoun, and if it refers to the person who is the subject of the main verb, then it becomes reflexive. So ego video, ego I am the subject, video the verb I see. Ego me video, me refers to the same person as the subject, ego, and so it's reflexive. So Nathan, how would you translate that stuff?
I see. I see myself.
I see myself, right? So the me refers to the same person as the subject, and so in English we would translate that as myself, and that's our reflexive pronoun.
So I'm looking in the book,
Yeah.
and it says me video as I see myself.
Yeah, right. Because video is first person singular, present active indicative. So the subject of video is I. Now we can't express that. We can add ego if we want.
It's more like egos in parentheses.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
It's just more emphatic.
okay.
Yeah, but if you just had me video, you would say, well, who is the subject of video? Well, it is I. Is me the same person as I?
No.
Yes. So
yes.
it's reflexive.
Okay, got it. Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. So tu me vides. Corey, how
So
would you
that would be
translate that?
you see me.
You see me. Is me reflexive here?
Reflexive. No, it's not.
No, because it's not referring to the same person as the subject. You are the subject, I am not you, therefore me is not reflexive. Right? To te vides, you see yourself, that would be reflexive. But to me vides is just two different personal pronouns in different cases. You see me. Okay. So vos nos videtis. Is that a nos or reflexive?
Yeah. So no, because
No.
it's not referring back if it was referring back to the vos, to the you all, it would be, but it's not. It's something else to us. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So how would you translate that?
You all see us.
You all see us. If it said vos videtis, which would be a bit awkward, but whatever, that would be reflexive.
Yeah.
How would you translate vos videtis?
You all see you all.
You all see yourselves.
Yourselves. Okay, yeah.
Right. And none of these nominative pronouns do we ever have to use, right? Me video, me vides, nos videtis, right? Those are all totally correct. Just adding in a nominative subject, because it's already in the verb, makes it emphatic. So you can't see me? Well, ego me video. I can see myself. I see myself, right?
Okay.
It's emphatic. But we've got along thus far fine, because the subject is always inherent in the verb. Yeah.
So for vos nos videtis, vos and nos would both be personal pronouns?
Yep. Vos is a nominative plural personal pronoun, second person personal pronoun. And nos is a accusative plural first person personal pronoun. Yeah. Okay. So nobis hibum damus. Nathan? Could you translate that?
Is what's damus? Is that condemn?
No, do dare dedidatus.
Oh. Okay. So that's God, I'm drawing a blank.
We give.
Oh, okay, yeah. So nobis is we give
Yeah, we give. What do we give? We give something in the accusative case.
Food.
To somebody in the dative case. We give food.
Yeah. You give food. I don't know.
To, right?
We give food to you all.
That would be vobis. That's you all. Nobis is
to us.
Yes, but we don't say that. To ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We're giving ourselves food. We are giving food to ourselves.
Oh, okay.
So is nobis a reflexive pronoun?
Yes.
Yes, we are the same people as ourselves. Yeah.
Okay.
Questions about that? Okay. Now, this is a little bit out of order. Okay. Well, there is no third person. There are no third person pronouns in Latin. That seems really weird, right? I, you, he, she, it. That seems like that should be basic. But there aren't any in Latin. Nor, in fact, really in Greek either. But we'll talk about how we substitute those. But we do have actual reflexive pronouns, reflexive third person pronouns. So no personal third person pronouns, no way to say he, him, she, her, they, them. I mean, there's a way, but not a pronoun. Right? But himself, herself, to their selves, there is. So we do have a reflexive pronoun. And the genitive is sui, sibi, se, and se, right? Now, if you're memorizing it, right, tibi, tui, tibi, te, te, it follows the exact same pattern except with an S. Tui, tibi, te, te, that's a second person singular. Here's sui, sibi, se, se. This is the third person pronoun, and it is the same in both singular and plural. So this is the reflexive singular and plural, masculine and feminine and neuter reflexive pronoun. So sui could be of himself, of herself, of itself, or of themselves. Sibi could be to himself, to herself, to themselves, etc. Questions about that?
Yeah, so just to
Yeah.
be sure, so this is
Yeah.
both singular and plural, and it can
Mhm.
refer to every gender.
Exactly.
Okay.
And how do you know, how are you going to figure out which gender or which number it is?
Context.
Well, yeah. And not just context for you to
Oh,
be
the
guessing.
verb, I guess. Wait,
Yeah,
no.
you look at
The
the subject. If the subject is feminine, then sui,
subject.
right, reflects back to that, so it has to be feminine. There's
Okay.
never a guessing, because as long as you know who the subject is, you will know how to translate this reflexive pronoun. Rachel, do you know why there is no nominative?
Would the nominative just match the personal pronouns?
Yeah. Sort of, I think you're on the right track.
Okay.
A reflexive, there's never a reflexive nominative.
Okay.
That makes no sense. It has to reflect back, refer back to the subject. The
Oh.
subject is nominative.
Okay.
So how could a nominative refer back to, it just doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Nathan, questions?
No, I think I got it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Then possessive adjectives. All right, so we're learning all of our pronomial sorts of words. So if you want to say my, that's an adjective in Latin, right? Of me is the pronoun. My is an adjective. My dog, my car, my friend. Okay, and these are, as you can see, what kind of adjectives? Meus, mea, meum, noster, nostra, nostrum, tuus, tua, tuum, vester, vestra, vestrum, suus, suas, suum. What kind of adjectives are they? Yeah, so an adjective we always have an
Two, 1, 2.
2, 1, 2. Yeah. So they just follow the regular 2, 1, 2 pattern. So I decided to have colors today just, for fun. So meus is masculine, right? That follows the second declension. Meus, meu, meo, meu, meo, meu, meor, meis, meos, meis. Mea, the yellow, oldish color, is feminine. It follows the first declension. And meum, green, is neuter. Follows the second declension, neuter. And likewise, noster, tuus, wester, suus. So Rachel, what's the stem for noster?
It'd be nostra.
Yes, N-O-S-T-R. So you go to the feminine and drop off the A. So nostra, N-O-S-T-R.
Okay.
And then noster, nostri, nostro, nostrum, nostro, etc. And tuus, Okay, to is a stem, wester, westro, westrum, vestr is a stem, and sus, su is a stem. Okay, so you don't need to memorize a new declension with these. You just need to memorize, right? Meus, mea, meum means my, and then you're good. Now, you who have studied modern languages probably have figured this out, and maybe those of you who haven't already did, but I remember when I studied French in high school, I was confused the entire time about the gender of possessive adjectives. So, just in case it's not eminently clear, what determines the gender number in case of a possessive adjective?
The thing,
Yeah, the thing, which thing?
I'm
Yeah.
not really sure if it's the thing possessing or the thing being possessed.
Okay, yeah, that's the problem. Is it the
Yeah.
thing possessing or the thing being possessed? Well, what's our rules for adjectives in Latin? An adjective must do what?
Match noun and gender number in case.
Yes, must agree in gender number in case with what?
No.
The noun it modifies. I've been saying this for about 6 years, so I've got it down to an art. The adjective must agree in gender number in case with the noun it modifies. Right?
Okay.
So if I have a city, it's mea urbs. Corey, if you have a city, it's also mea urbs, because mea is an adjective modifying urbs, and the city is nominative, feminine, and singular. It does not matter your gender or your number, in point of fact, right? So if we own a city, all 4 of us, it's still nostra urbs. It's feminine singular because the noun it's modifying is feminine and singular.
Okay, because I was wondering. I was listening to Leonard Cohen the other day, and he says "mea culpa," and then I was wondering about the gender and that.
Yeah, is
okay.
it male? Yeah. The culpa is fault, right? And that is in the ablative singular and feminine. And so mea has to agree in GNC with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. These are the sorts of things that I think if you study languages too long, it becomes obvious, and then you forget that it isn't obvious. And none of my French teachers ever explained this to me, and I labored in great difficulty until I got to Latin, where we beat through everything very thoroughly, and I figured it out at long last. Okay. Are there any questions about this? Okay. But what about the third person? How do we say he, she, it? Well, we can't really, but we have these demonstrative adjectives, and those can stand in the place of a third person personal pronoun. So the pronoun is, id, even some like high school Latin texts will call this a third person pronoun, because it's a demonstrative adjective that means this or that or even the. So is, we're, the man, that man, this man, something like that. But unemphatic. And if you just use the adjective substantively without a noun, it basically acts as a pronoun, right? Standing in the place of a noun. And so is, id can often be translated as he, she, it. Conceptually, does that make sense? Don't look at the chart yet, but
Conceptually, yeah.
okay. So this demonstrative adjective follows a pattern that demonstrative adjectives follow. It is not a 2-1-2 adjective. It is not following, in fact, any declension. These demonstrative adjectives just do their own special little thing off in their demonstrative adjective realm. So it's in most cases identical to a 2-1-2 adjective, but the genitive plural is eius. So the ending is basically ius. The genitive singular is eius in all the different genders. Eius, eius, eius. And then the dative singular, instead of AO or AI, is AE in all of the genders. AE, AE, AE. But otherwise, it's AUS, AE. Okay, those are all weird, but AUM, AO, AE, AOR, AEs, AOS, AEs. Those are all second declension endings added to a stem of E. And then feminine, Ea, Eam, Ea, Ai, Eodum, Aes, Eas, Aes. First declension endings added to a stem. And then the non-bolded forms in the green, the neuter, are also second declension neuter ones. But the forms in bold are where demonstrative adjectives have fun and just do their own special little thing. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. So, Nathan, could you translate the ea column, the feminine singular, as if it were pronoun? So it means it's an adjective meaning something like the, a non-emphatic demonstrative. But
I have no idea.
okay, so ea feminine means something like the woman.
Okay.
Ea would mean the feminine
The
person,
women.
or just she, right? The woman is she, right? The female person is
Yeah.
she, and then so eius would be
I don't know.
of,
Of her,
and then to
and then to and from, or to or from her.
to or for her.
Yeah, to and for her, and then just her again because it's, it's accusative, and
I
then
see her. Yeah.
yeah, I see her, and then by, with,
Yes.
from her. Yeah.
Exactly. Good. Okay. Questions about that?
How would you translate that in the plural?
They. We
Okay.
don't differentiate between gender.
Okay.
In the plural. Though if it's neuter, you don't say they, you say like the things.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no reason why we should have different genders in the singular third person and not the plural third person. And I suspect in like Chinese, they don't have a third person distinction between genders because I have a Chinese friend and she often confuses he and she. And she has been living, this friend is in her 80s and has been living in the US since she was about 20, and she still can't get it right. But it's not that she doesn't know which gender people are. I think it's just in Chinese, there must not be this third person distinction. Again, don't quote me. I've never studied Chinese. Okay, so here's another demonstrative adjective, right? This means hick hick hawk. This means this. So isaid is pretty neutral. It means this or that, but not emphatic. Hick hick hawk means this here. So if I'm talking about this book in my hand, I say hick liber. Right, not just the book neutrally, this liber, but hick liber, this one here in my hand. Now, this is the most fun of all the demonstrative adjectives to memorize because it sounds great. It's also a little bit of a mess, okay? So you see, we sort of have isaid endings, right? We have that ius, ius ending in the genitive singular, but with a C also at the end in the singular forms, most of them, okay? So it's not ha, huyus, hey, hom, ha, which it should be in the feminine singular, but it's hey, huyus, huyus, honk, hawk, okay? So although I've learned it masculine, feminine, singular, I memorized it all the singulars and then all the plurals. So if you want to memorize these, I would do it. So hick, hick, hawk, huyus, 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 huick, 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 honk, hank, hawk, hook, hawk, hawk. It's great, but it's messy, okay? So you can see, right, it should be ho, ha, ho in the ablative singular, but it's ho, ha, hook. Probably because ho, ha, ho sounds ridiculous. But other than that, they're a little bit messy here. But we can see we have the eus genitive singular. We have UNC for UM, not hum, but hunk, and then ANC instead of AM, not hom, but honk. We have the neuter is hawk and hawk. Those nominative and accusative are the same. And although we would like ha and ha to be the neuter plural, they're at least the same as what the feminine singular nominative is. So feminine singular nominative is not ha, but hike. And so likewise, the neuter nominative and accusative plural are hike and hike. All the non-bolded forms are regular 2-1-2 endings. So mostly the plural is good. It's just wonky in the singular. Questions about that? So hick, hick, hawk means this here. Ila, ila, ilud means that there. So is, it is pretty neutral. Hick, hick, hawk means this one right here, probably that I'm holding. Ila, ila, ilud means that one over there. You know, across the room. So Ile Liber is not the book I have in my hand, but the one 20 feet away on the desk or something. And this one is a little bit better. It's more like is-id. We have the ilius, that genitive plural ending, ius, and then the dative plural in a long I, ili, 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 and then the neuter, right? Id, id, ilud, ilud. That's, questions? So, I mean, it's unfortunate that those demonstratives just have to do their own special thing. But other than that, do you have any questions?
So I guess, how do you know when you're using one set of adjectives over and against another? I didn't catch that.
Can you restate the question because I didn't follow it?
Well, why are there 3 different types of demonstrative adjectives? I just didn't.
So
Set
if I'm just neutrally talking about this book, okay. Well, we just want to talk about the book, right? There's only one book. We'll call it Is Liber, the book. Right?
Uh-huh.
That one. If I have 2 books, right? I have that book over there and this book here. I need to distinguish. This is Hick Liber. This one, this here. That is Ile Liber, the one over there. So they demonstrate different points. They're really like pointing words. So if you want to talk about this here, use hick, hick, hawk. If you want to talk about that over there, you use illa, illa, ilud.
Okay. Okay.
And iseda, it is if you don't want to be so. You just want to talk about this book, you know, but you don't want to be pointing. pretty much.
Okay.
So any of those can function as a pronoun, right? So is can mean he neutrally, hic can mean he right here, this man, and Eli can mean he, but that guy over there. So probably need to say added for something so neutral as a pronoun, but you can use the kickoff or Eli agent also.
Okay.
Okay, so any of these adjectives may be used substantively, like all adjectives in Latin, right? You can just use it without a noun, and then you have to supply man if it's singular, woman if it's feminine, man if it's masculine, woman if it's feminine, and thing if it's neuter. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Nathan, you good?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I gotta, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have these memorized, but
Yes.
that's as it should be. Okay. So then we have personal pronouns, we have reflexive pronouns, and then we also have relative pronouns, right? So a relative pronoun is when you need a subordinate clause. A relative pronoun in English is who, right? Or whose or whom. So the man whom I saw was tall. So whom is a relative pronoun. You could say the man was tall, I saw him. But if you need to combine those two sentences into one and relate the one pronoun to something else in the sentence, you use the relative pronoun. Whom. Right. And this is the form of the relative pronoun in Latin. So in English, we don't distinguish between the gender or the number, who is feminine or masculine, singular or plural. In Latin, we have all the genders and all of the cases and all of the numbers. So qui, que, quod. And then we have our regular strange pronoun, sort of genitive singular, uius, uius, uius. But notice, we do not have QU, we have CU. Sounds the same, pretty much, but it's spelled differently. So qui, que, quod, cuius, 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 and then the dative cui, 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 and then quem, quam, quod, and quo, qua, quo. Qui, que, que, quorum, 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 quibus, 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 quos, quas, que, quae, quibus, quibus, quibus. So these are pretty similar, but you should notice it's not quis, right? They use the third declension, ablative and dative, in the plural. Just for fun, to make sure you haven't fallen asleep, I guess. So those are the forms of the relative pronoun.
I'm sorry, when would you
Yeah.
use a relative pronoun? You explained it a minute ago, but it didn't
Yeah.
stick.
So the man is tall. I saw the man. Okay. Those are two good sentences, but it's not very elegant. If you have the same person in two sentences, you can combine them and use a relative pronoun. The man whom I saw is tall.
Okay.
And so what you've basically done is you said, I don't need to repeat the man twice.
Yeah.
I can refer by using whom to the same man.
Yeah.
So whom I saw the man. What case would he be?
I saw the man. The man would just be accusative.
Accusative singular and he's masculine. So the whom in Latin, what would that be? We need an accusative masculine accusative singular.
Qui.
Accusative?
Sorry, that is nominative. Quem.
Yeah. Quem. So the man, the man Quem I saw is tall.
Okay, so it'd be like Vir
Yes. Wir
Vir-
Quem
Quem.
vidi altus est.
Okay. Would you not put Vidis at the end?
Well, he is tall is the main word. You put vidi at the end of the subordinate clause. I saw him, whom I saw.
Okay.
Quem vidi. It's a very short main clause. We just have the relative and then the verb. But
Mhm. Okay. No. Well, let's just keep going and then we'll come back to relative pronouns. So then we also have interrogative pronouns and adjectives. Can anyone think of an interrogative pronoun? So personal would be he. Is he tall? The interrogative pronoun would be what? Or let's see. He is tall. The interrogative would be
Who is tall?
who. Yeah. So it's the same word in English. But if it's in a question, it's an interrogative. If it's in a subordinate clause, it's a relative. Who is tall? Who is the interrogative pronoun, and then which is the interrogative adjective. So which car do you like? Right? Not what do you like, who or what as the interrogative pronoun, but which is the interrogative adjective. Which car do you like? Which man did you see? All right, and thankfully the interrogative adjectives are identical in form to the relative pronouns. Woohoo! So once you've learned those, you're good. So qui, quod mean who as a relative, and I'll say which in a question. And then the interrogative pronoun is very similar to the relative pronoun. There's just the nominative singular is quis or quid, basically. Okay. We're going to pause there. Let's take some sentences and rewrite using a relative clause. Oh, you know what? I should just use your book, which is over there. Have a sec. Let's see. Yeah, maybe not. Let's start with my own exercise and look up to this. So right. My mother walks quickly. My mother is short. Nathan, could you rewrite that? Or you don't have to type it, but just rephrase it with a relative. So using who or whom or whose.
I don't know.
So my mother walks quickly. My mother who.
So it'd be my mother.
So let me start again.
I'm sorry. I need to like read this over. I mean, like I understand what's going on, but I don't know.
No, it's okay. So with a relative, you have basically two sentences that use the same noun twice. And instead of doing that twice, you can use relatives to say, instead of repeating the same noun, I'm just going to use relative to mean referring back to the same person we already spoke about. So the repeated element in those two sentences is my mother. So my mother, but then instead of my mother, and then another statement about my mother,
So
we're just going to
would
say
you
my mother who.
So would you say, Cuius?
We're just talking about English. Don't worry about Latin.
I thought you were asking me to translate. All right.
No.
So yeah, my mother. I don't.
My mother, well, finish the sentence. Make those two sentences one.
So
My
what
mother who.
My mother. My mother walks. My mother who walks quickly is short.
Yeah. Yeah. So my mother, you're taking the second sentence. My mother is short. Okay, that's going to be our main one. And then my mother, and then adding the second one. The
So
first one in.
who walks quickly
Who walks quickly
is short.
is short.
Yeah. So do you want me to translate
I'm
it?
just writing another example. Okay.
Okay.
Corey, can you take those two sentences?
Yeah, so my brother whom you know, I see, or I see my brother whom you know.
I see my brother. Yes, whom you know. So you used whom because my brother is functioning as the direct object of you know. So it has to be the direct object, the accusative case. Good. Rachel. I don't know how many
Okay.
sisters you say.
So the cat is my sister's. Okay, so I'm gonna take a shot, and I'm really not sure.
Yeah.
So my
Why don't you take the first sentence as the main one?
the main. Okay,
That will
so
help.
so it'd be the cat is my sister's whose name is Sarah.
Exactly. The cat is
Okay.
my sister's. It would be less awkward if we said the cat belongs to my sister,
Okay.
whose name is Sarah. Are you following thus far? Yeah. Okay. Nathan, could you take that?
Yeah. We see the men who are inhabitants of the island.
Exactly. Great. Okay. So do you think you're following this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back and translate just the relatives into Latin. Okay. So, my mother, who walks quickly, is short. So who, we have to ask, what gender, number, and case is who? In this sentence. This is for any.
Oh,
Are we doing the mother one?
My mother who walks quickly is
Okay.
short.
so
it's-
nominative, singular, feminine.
Feminine nominative singular, right? Which would be why. Good. So who refers to my mother. She is feminine and singular. And the nominative part means she is this, who is the subject, right? Who is doing the walking, right? My mother walks. So she's the subject of that verb. Relative pronoun is the subject of the walking. Right? So I see my brother, whom you know. What gender number in case is whom?
It's male,
Masculine.
masculine, singular, and accusative.
Masculine, singular, accusative. Does anyone know what that is?
Quam.
Quem.
Oh yeah, quam.
Quem. Good. How about this? The cat belongs to my sister, whose name is Sarah.
Whose name?
Whose, right? That's a relative. Well, okay.
I was gonna say accusative, feminine, singular, but I'm really not sure because the whose.
It's feminine singular, but
Okay, but not
whom
accusative.
would be accusative. What is whose?
Is that genitive?
Yeah, of her, of who, of whom. Whose.
Okay.
Yeah, so whose, right? Genitive, feminine singular. Whose. So cuius nomen est Sarah would be whose name is Sarah. No. Okay. Then, how about we see the men who are inhabitants of the island. That who. What gender number in case is that?
So the masculine, plural, and nominative,
Masculine plural nominative,
which would make it qui.
exactly. Okay. So you got them all right, but let's be very explicit about our thinking. How do you know which gender the who or whom, the relative pronoun is?
The subject.
Well, not the subject, because we see the men. We could be all women.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, they agree in gender number in case.
What were you asking yourselves if you said, I see my brother whom you know? You're not asking yourself, what gender am I? That is totally irrelevant. To figure out what gender whom is, we're asking,
Brothers.
not
Direct object.
always though, right? My mother who is quick,
Yeah.
who walks quickly, she's the subject. It doesn't have to do with an absolute functioning sentence grammatically. What? Okay, my mother who
Oh,
walks quickly is short.
so
Yeah, go ahead.
which mother? Or I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So there's a question. So you
relative-
say this person,
well,
which or
the
who?
relative is standing in the place for another noun. And you say, what is that noun? Right? My mother
Okay.
is short, my mother walks quickly. The who refers to my
Okay.
mother. So you check the relative relates who to some other noun in the main clause. And so you say, what noun are we talking about? It's my mother. She is feminine. I see my brother, whom you know. Whom is the same as my brother. So what gender is my brother? He's masculine. We see the men who are inhabitants of the island. Who and men are the same people. They're masculine. So masculine. And then how do you figure out number? whether it's singular or plural. Nathan?
How many? There's only one mother, so
Yeah.
it's,
So you do the same thing. You say, to whom is this relative pronoun referring? Who is the who represented by this relative pronoun? In the first case, it's my mother. My mother who walks quickly is short. My mother is singular. We see the men who are inhabitants of the island. Who refers to the men, and they are plural. So who in this case is plural. Okay.
Okay.
Are you following thus far? Okay. Now, the tricky thing is that's how you figure out gender and number. Because if you're talking about the same person in two sentences, they're not going to change their gender or their number. If it's the same, then they have to be the same gender or number. They do not have to be the same case. Right? You can have two sentences with the same noun, and it can be in different cases. We see the men. That would be the direct object, so accusative. The men are inhabitants of the island. That's the subject, so it's nominative. So the men, same gender, same number, but the case is different because they're functioning differently within their clauses. So to figure out the case of the relative pronoun, you have to figure out how is it functioning within its own clause. Right? We see the men. The men is a direct object in its clause. We see the men. But who are inhabitants of the island? Who is the subject of are. And so that who, as you rightly said, is nominative because it's the subject of its own verb, who are. In the clause, who are inhabitants of the island, it's the subject. Whereas I see my brother whom you know, whom is functioning as the direct object. You could say my brother is tall. My brother whom you know is tall. In the main clause, my brother is the subject, but whom still has to be accusative because it's the direct object of you know. It's the direct object of its own clause.
Okay.
That's a lot to absorb, but maybe if it's not, are there any questions, or are you totally following or so confused you can't even articulate a question?
So those other clauses, would you call those like subordinate clauses, or?
Yes, they're all subordinate relative clauses.
Okay.
So when you're saying figuring out, oh, sorry, did you have another question, Corey? Or
Well, I was just going to follow with so should I look for the main clause and then try to translate the subordinate clause based off that? Or,
Yeah, so you'd get,
okay.
yeah, you translate the main clause generally first and then the subordinate clause.
Yeah.
So generally in English, you have to use the relative right after the noun to which it refers, or else you get very confused.
Okay.
If you say the cat whose name is Sarah belongs to my sister, that is a totally different statement than the cat belongs to my sister whose name is Sarah.
Okay. That was it.
Yeah, okay. Rachel?
two questions. So
Mhm.
the first being, so you were to find gender and number, it's just what is the pronoun, what noun is the pronoun in place of,
Exactly.
and then the case is context. So
Mhm.
is that true for all pronouns we've learned today, or just the interrogative ones?
We're talking about relative ones, actually.
Relative. Sorry. I did have that written down. Okay.
Yeah, so regular pronouns, they're just going to be, they're not referring to anything else.
Okay.
But a relative is always referring to a different noun that it's also standing in place of, it's standing in place of the repetition of.
Yes. Okay. And
So,
then you said interrogative adjectives are identical to something, and then I missed that.
to relative pronouns.
Okay.
So, que femina, what woman, which woman.
Okay.
Just say, yeah. Okay. Nathan, how do you feel?
Okay. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm having a little trouble understanding it, but I mean, I think I just need to like read over the text and like
Mm-hmm.
see it in sentences more. And I think I'll
Yeah.
get it.
This is where people get confused because they haven't quite tattooed into their brain adjectives must agree in gender, number, and case with a noun they modify, but they're almost there. You are almost there. So you need to get there really solidly. And then you think, okay, things agree in gender, number, and case with the noun they modify, but it's not the case. Adjectives agree in gender, number, and case with the nouns they modify. Relative pronouns agree in gender and number with the nouns to which they refer, but their case is determined by their function within their own clause. So, if you're trying to figure out to whom does a relative refer, you need to find something that matches in gender and number. You do not need to find something that matches in case, because they can be functioning differently within their own cases. They could be a subject in one and a direct object in another, etc.
So so we've got relative
Mhm.
and interrogative pronouns.
Mhm.
How could you explain like the function of, I guess, the interrogative pronouns then?
So that's just
there-
to ask a question.
Okay.
It's the same word in English, and so that's why it's confusing. But
Okay.
who's coming is a question.
Okay.
It's just asking the identity of the pronoun, right?
So-
Is a pronoun standing in for what? I don't know. But the man who is coming, there's no question there. It's just telling you the man is coming. The man who is coming is a politician. The man is
So that's a
politician.
relative
The man is
pronoun.
coming. That's relative. Yeah. Corey?
But who is coming?
Yeah. Who
So
is
I
coming?
just I just realized, oh, it's interrogative. That's an interrogation. So it's like,
Yes. Interrogation means yes, a questioning. Yeah, so interrogative. Yes. Okay. Briefly then, we'll return and finish this presentation. So then we talked about location and place last unit. Now we're going to talk about how to talk about time. There are three basic ways to talk about time. You can express a point in time, a point or moment in time. So to express a point in time or moment in time, you use the ablative case. So hoc tempore, at this time. Use the ablative. And hopefully that little illustration is helpful to thinking about a point in time, right? At 3 o'clock, I'm going to my dentist. That tells you a point or a moment in time. You can also talk about a time frame or a period of time within which something happened. Within this year, during this year, I saw 3 movies, right? It's not a point in time at which you saw, but it's a period within which you did something, right? Within this year, I saw 3 movies. Not a lot, but
Could
And
you
then-
say during this year?
yes, you could say during this
Okay.
year. Yeah. So, yeah, during class we talked about 5 different topics or something. Yeah, within the period of class we did something. And then you can express an extent of time, a period of time. And that in Latin you use the accusative case. For 10 years, I lived in Alaska. Not sure, but anyway. So that's not telling you a point in time, and it's not telling you a period of within which, so it's not during 10 years. During the period, I did something a few times, but for the whole of 10 years, I did something. I lived in Alaska. Is that clear in English, that distinction? Yeah. Okay. So, Corey,
Sorry, I just missed.
Yeah,
Okay, so the first one is an ablative. The second one is which one?
ablative also,
Oh, okay, and then accusative for
and
for
then
the
accusative.
extent.
Greek uses 3 different cases, but Latin uses ablative for both
Okay.
point in time and period, time within which.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, Nathan, could you give an example of a point in time? Just say something that is a point in time.
5 years ago or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
6. It's a point in
6
time.
years ago, I climbed Mount Everest. A point in time, 6 years before here. Rachel, could you give an example of time within which?
Time what? Sorry.
Within which? The
Oh,
circle.
okay. So, during 2010, I did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, during 2010, I bought a car, right? It's not all of 2010 I spent purchasing the car, but sometime within the period, that was a year of 2010, I did an activity once. Yep. And then, Corey, could you do extent of time?
Yeah, so I will be in Boston for 2 years.
Exactly. So it's not a period within which you're going to be in Boston. So within 2 years, I'm going to be in Boston twice. I'm going to fly to Boston twice. But for the whole period of 2 years, I'm going to be in Boston. More or less. So if you listened, at the beginning of the book of Acts, which I was listening to on Sunday, it said Jesus appeared to the disciples during 40 days. What kind of time, expression of time is that? Is that a point in time, time within which, or extent of time?
To an extent.
No, it's the
Period of time.
Time within which. If he appeared and was visible for 40 24-hour periods, that would be extent of time.
Okay.
But during 40 days he appeared means Jesus appeared and then he left.
Periodically.
And then he met them in Galilee and then he left again and then he blah blah blah. Not blah blah blah, but you know. During the period he appeared several times. Not for the whole period he was appearing. Did you see that distinction? We don't often make that distinction in English. I mean, we can, but we don't do it as often as Latin does. So.
Yeah, I was hesitant to. I knew it was one of the two. But.
Yeah. So I listened to. I watched a movie during class, we could say, and that's a little unclear. If you meant we took all of class time and watched a movie, that would be extent of time. If it was a 5-minute clip and it was an hour-long class, then it would be time within which. During class, we watched a short film. That's just a period within a greater period. So again, to express these, to indicate these expressions of time, you don't need any prepositions. In, during, for, no. You just use a simple ablative or accusative to indicate either time, point of time, time within which, or extent of time. Okay. I held you over a little. Any questions? Okay.
So will we be taking our second test on Saturday? Is that?
You're going. Did you look up your schedule and see if Saturday would work?
Yeah, it'll work.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna look because it seemed that Nathan and Rachel were expressing a preference for not doing this Saturday, but doing the final exam on the final Saturday. Is that work Sunday? Nathan?
If
Is
it's
that
over
accurate?
around the same time, that should probably be okay.
Okay. Rachel and Nathan, is that your preference? Did you prefer
Yeah.
C to A?
I prefer C to A.
Yeah. I would have to do it on Sunday, though. I wouldn't be able to do it on Friday or
Okay.
Saturday.
Okay, let me look up on C if C is an option.
Okay.
Logistically, given that you can't take it on Saturday. And then I will confirm what we're doing and then how that will affect the schedule.
All right.
And
Thank you.
Tomorrow.
okay.
Yep.
I was gonna say, and for the quiz tomorrow, is like that gonna be stuff on Unit 7 or?
I'll look at the quiz I've already written.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
I got you.
I will send you an email
I got you.
about schedule and quiz.
Sounds good.
Okay. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
afternoon.
You too.
You too. Thank you.